I never imagined a simple phone call could shatter my evening. The voice on the other end, Nathan's unmistakable tone, dripped with condescension. "Emily, you'll be thrilled to know I'm getting married, and guess what? You're invited." His words hit me like a slap. Nathan, my ex, whom I had not heard from in months, was now inviting me to his wedding. The audacity of it made my blood boil. But it wasn't just any wedding. He was marrying Rachel, my former boss, the woman who had subtly sabotaged my career. "You must be joking," I spat into the phone, my voice quivering with a mix of anger and disbelief. "Oh, come on, Emily. Don't be bitter. It's a celebration. You should see how happy we are together," Nathan taunted. There was a smugness in his voice that I had come to despise. The memories of our relationship flooded back. Nathan, who once whispered sweet nothings, had turned into a man who derived pleasure from my pain. I remembered the nights I had spent crying over his harsh words, the days I walked on eggshells trying to please him. And Rachel, the boss, who always found fault in my work, no matter how hard I tried. The duo had made my life miserable. "You know what, Nathan? I'll be there," I said, my voice now steady with resolve. I could almost hear the smirk in his voice widen. "Great. It'll be nice to have you there to witness my happiness. After all, you always said you wanted the best for me," he sneered before hanging up. I stood there, phone still in hand, feeling a storm brewing inside me. The hurt and humiliation I had suffered at their hands wouldn't be forgotten. They expected me to show up, tail between my legs, defeated. But I had other plans. My mind raced through the possibilities. This wedding could be my chance, not to make amends, but to serve them a slice of the bitterness they had fed me. They wanted me to be a silent witness to their joy, a reminder of their victory over me, but I would not give them that satisfaction. I dialed Lisa, my high school friend and the only person who knew the entire sordid saga. "Lisa, I need your help," I said as soon as she picked up. "Emily, what's wrong?" Concern laced her voice. "Nathan and Rachel are getting married, and they've invited me to their wedding. I'm planning to go, but not for the reasons they think," I explained. There was a pause, and then Lisa's voice, firm and supportive. "Count me in. What do you need?" As I lay out my plan, a sense of empowerment filled me. Nathan and Rachel thought they had seen the last of me, but they were gravely mistaken. The wedding would not be their celebration, it would be their reckoning, and I, Emily, would be the architect of their downfall. The night after Nathan's call, sleep eluded me. Memories, like uninvited ghosts, swarmed my mind. It was during one of these restless hours that I found myself revisiting the beginning, the days when Nathan was more than just a voice on the phone. We met at a local coffee shop, a chance encounter that blossomed into something more. Nathan was charming, his smile disarming. I was drawn to him like a moth to a flame. He was attentive, making me feel like I was the only person in the room. But time unveiled the truth. His charm faded, revealing a manipulative man beneath. He criticized my appearance, my job, even my dreams. "You really think you can make it as a writer, Emily? Be realistic," he would say, his words always laced with a subtle condescension. Then there was Rachel, my boss at the marketing firm where I worked. She was the epitome of success, confident, driven, and seemingly supportive of my career. But behind her encouraging smiles were actions intended to hinder, not help. Deadlines mysteriously changed, crucial emails accidentally deleted, and opportunities given to others. I never understood her animosity, but it wore me down, chipping away at my confidence. The breaking point came the night Nathan ended our relationship. We were at his apartment, the same place where he had first said he loved me. "Emily, we need to talk," he had begun, his voice devoid of warmth. "I don't see a future with you," he declared bluntly. "Frankly, you're just not enough for me." The words stung, leaving me breathless. I remember fumbling for words, trying to understand. But he just stood there, cold and unmoved. "You should move on, Emily. We both know you can do better than this. Than us." It felt like a cruel joke. The man who had once promised me forever was now discarding me as if I were nothing. The pain was palpable, a physical ache in my chest. The days that followed were a blur. I threw myself into work, trying to forget, to move on, but fate, it seemed, had other plans. One morning, I overheard a conversation between Rachel and another colleague. They were laughing, and Nathan's name came up. "He's taking me to this fancy place tonight," Rachel had said, a smug smile on her face. The pieces fell into place with a sickening clarity. Nathan hadn't just left me, he had left me for her. My boss. My mentor. The realization was a bitter pill to swallow, but bitterness, I realized, could be a powerful motivator. As dawn broke, bringing light to a new day, a plan began to take shape in my mind. Nathan and Rachel wanted to parade their happiness in front of me, to prove they had won. But this was a game I refused to lose. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of preparation. Lisa, ever the loyal friend, was my sounding board, helping me flesh out the details of my plan. "We need to hit them where it hurts," she had said, her voice fierce over the phone. And that's exactly what we intended to do. The days leading up to the wedding were a mix of dread and determination. I could feel the weight of the upcoming confrontation, a heavy cloak draped over my shoulders. Yet there was a fire burning within me, fueled by the betrayal and hurt Nathan and Rachel had caused. I remember staring at my reflection in the mirror, hardly recognizing the woman who stared back. Gone was the timid, unsure Emily of the past. In her place was someone stronger, someone who refused to be a victim of circumstance. Lisa was instrumental during this time. "You're not alone in this, Emily," she reminded me often. We spent nights poring over our plan, refining each detail. It was more than just about revenge. It was about reclaiming my dignity. The wedding invitation lay on my table, a constant reminder of the looming day. Nathan's words echoed in my head. "You always said you wanted the best for me." How ironic. The best for Nathan had always meant the worst for me. My job situation hadn't improved since Rachel's underhanded tactics. I was passed over for promotions, my projects sidelined. It seemed Rachel's influence was far-reaching, but I refused to let that break me. Instead, I channeled my energy into uncovering their secrets. Lisa and I dug deep, uncovering a trail of lies and deceit that Nathan and Rachel had left in their wake. It was shocking, yet not entirely surprising. "They're not just cheating partners, they're cheaters in life," Lisa said one evening, her voice laced with disgust. We had found evidence of financial embezzlement, fraudulent activities linked directly to Nathan and Rachel. Their perfect facade was just that, a facade. Behind closed doors, they were nothing but frauds, thriving on the misery of others. It was sickening to realize how blind I had been to Nathan's true nature. As the day of the wedding approached, my resolve only strengthened. I was ready to face them, to expose them for who they truly were. The thought of their downfall brought a sense of satisfaction, a feeling I hadn't experienced in a long time. The night before the wedding, I barely slept. My mind raced with thoughts of the upcoming confrontation. I knew there was no turning back. This was my moment, my chance to right the wrongs that had been done to me. I arrived at the wedding venue, my heart pounding in my chest. The place was decorated beautifully, a stark contrast to the ugliness that was about to unfold. As I entered the hall, I could feel eyes on me, whispers filling the air. Nathan and Rachel were at the front, basking in the adulation of their guests. They looked like the perfect couple, but I knew better. I took a deep breath, steadying myself. This was it, the moment of truth. The time had come to reveal Nathan and Rachel for who they really were, and I was ready to watch their world come crashing down. The wedding hall buzzed with the chatter of guests, a symphony of oblivious celebration. As I walked through the crowd, my every step was measured, purposeful. Lisa, a few steps behind, gave me an encouraging nod. We were ready to unveil the truth hidden beneath the glossy veneer of Nathan and Rachel's perfect union. I spotted them, the center of attention, laughing and toasting with their guests. Rachel, in her ivory gown, looked radiant, while Nathan was the picture of a proud groom. The sight of them, so smug in their happiness, reignited the anger within me. "Emily, you made it." Nathan's voice cut through the crowd as he approached me, a condescending smile plastered on his face. "I must say, I'm surprised you came." "Wouldn't miss it for the world," I replied, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. Rachel, overhearing our exchange, glided over with a glass of champagne in her hand. "Emily, darling, how wonderful to see you. I'm so glad you could join us on our special day." Her words, dripping with faux sweetness, made my skin crawl. "I wouldn't miss this. Congratulations, Rachel. You must be thrilled," I said, forcing a smile. "Oh, absolutely. It's everything I've ever dreamed of," she beamed, unaware of the storm about to break. I glanced around, ensuring we had the attention of the surrounding guests. Nathan, Rachel, there's something I think everyone here should know, I began, my voice louder, carrying across the room. Nathan's expression faltered, a flicker of concern crossing his features. "What are you talking about, Emily?" he asked, a hint of nervousness creeping into his voice. I pulled out my phone, connected to the projector that had been displaying their wedding photos. Suddenly, the screen shifted, displaying emails, bank statements, and photographs, undeniable evidence of Nathan and Rachel's embezzlement and deceit. The room fell silent, the air thick with shock. Guests turned to the screen, then back to the couple, their expressions turning from confusion to disgust. "What is this, Emily? Some kind of joke?" Rachel's voice was shrill, her facade crumbling. "No joke, Rachel. Just the truth," I said firmly, holding my ground. "Everyone, these documents show how Nathan and Rachel have been embezzling money, not to mention their affair that started while Nathan and I were still together." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Nathan and Rachel were now the center of a very different kind of attention. "This is absurd. You're just a bitter ex, trying to ruin our day," Nathan exclaimed, his face reddening. But the evidence was irrefutable. The guests began to whisper among themselves, their looks of admiration turning to judgment. "You two deserve each other," I said, my voice clear and strong. "But these people deserve to know who they're really celebrating." I stepped back, watching as the reality of their actions began to sink in around them. This was more than just revenge. It was justice. Their perfect day had turned into a nightmare, and as I walked away, I knew that their deceitful empire was starting to crumble. Nathan and Rachel, once untouchable, were now exposed for all to see. And I, Emily, had reclaimed my power. The aftermath of the revelation was like watching a house of cards collapse. The once joyous atmosphere of the wedding turned to chaos, with guests confronting Nathan and Rachel, their voices a cacophony of anger and disbelief. "You lied to us," one guest shouted, pointing an accusing finger at Nathan. "How could you?" Another chimed in, looking at Rachel with a mix of hurt and betrayal. Nathan and Rachel stood at the center of the storm, their masks of perfection now shattered. Nathan tried to speak, his voice drowned out by the uproar. Rachel, her composure slipping, looked around frantically, as if seeking an escape from the nightmare unfolding around her. I watched from a distance, a sense of surreal satisfaction washing over me. The pain and humiliation they had caused me were now being returned tenfold. Their reputations, their relationships, everything they had built on lies, was now crumbling before their eyes. Lisa approached me, her expression a mix of shock and awe. "You did it, Emily. They got what they deserved." "Yes, they did," I replied, my gaze still fixed on the disgraced couple. As the reality of their actions settled in, the crowd's anger turned to disgust. One by one, guests began to leave, their parting glances at Nathan and Rachel filled with scorn. "You ruined everything," Rachel screamed at me, her voice laced with venom. "This was supposed to be my day." "Your day? Based on lies and deceit?" I retorted, my voice calm yet piercing. "You and Nathan did this to yourselves." Nathan, now silent, looked defeated. The man who once held himself with such arrogance was now reduced to a shell, his facade of charm and confidence stripped away. The venue, once filled with celebration, was now a scene of devastation. Nathan and Rachel stood alone, abandoned by their guests, their sham of a marriage exposed for all to see. As I left the venue, I felt a weight off my shoulders. The ghosts of the past which had haunted me for so long were now laid to rest. I had stood up to my oppressors, exposed their true nature, and in doing so, had freed myself from their hold over me. The drive home was quiet, reflective. Lisa broke the silence. "What now, Emily?" "Now I move on," I said, a sense of peace in my voice. "I've closed this chapter of my life. It's time to start a new one." The night sky was clear, the stars shining brightly. It felt like a sign, a promise of a new beginning. Nathan and Rachel's downfall was not just an act of revenge. It was a step towards my healing. And as I looked up at the night sky, I knew that better days were ahead. Nathan and Rachel were now just a part of my past, a lesson learned in the journey of life. And I, Emily, was ready to embrace whatever came next. In the weeks following the wedding fiasco, the fallout from Nathan and Rachel's public humiliation was swift and merciless. The news of their deceit and embezzlement spread like wildfire, tarnishing their reputations beyond repair. Both of them faced legal repercussions, and their professional lives crumbled. Watching from the sidelines, I felt a sense of closure. Their comeuppance, long overdue, had finally arrived. One evening, Lisa and I sat in my living room, the events of the past month a frequent topic of our conversations. "You know, Emily, I never thought I'd say this, but I think you got your revenge and then some," Lisa said, sipping her coffee. "It wasn't just about revenge, Lisa," I replied, gazing out the window. "It was about standing up for myself. For too long, I let them control my life, my emotions. Not anymore." Lisa nodded, understanding in her eyes. "So, what's next for you?" I smiled, a sense of hope filling me. "I've started writing again. It's been a long time since I felt this inspired, and I've been applying for new jobs. It's time for a fresh start." Lisa's smile mirrored my own. "That's the spirit. You know, I've always believed in you, Emily. You're stronger than you think." Yet the conversation drifted to lighter topics, but my mind was already miles ahead, planning my future. The incident with Nathan and Rachel had been a harsh lesson, but it had also reignited a fire within me. I was no longer the person who could be easily broken by the words and actions of others. A few days later, I received an unexpected call. It was from a publishing house where I had submitted a manuscript months ago. "Miss Emily, we loved your submission. We'd like to discuss publishing your book," the voice on the other end said. My heart leapt. After years of self-doubt and setbacks, my dream was finally becoming a reality. It felt like a sign, a confirmation that I was on the right path. Life, once a tumultuous sea, had now calmed. Nathan and Rachel had become distant memories, their impact on my life diminishing with each passing day. In their downfall, I had found my strength, my voice. As I sat down to write, words flowed from me like a river. My experiences, though painful, had given me a wealth of inspiration. I wrote not out of spite, but out of a newfound understanding of myself and the world around me. The journey hadn't been easy, but it had led me to this moment, a moment of peace, of self-realization. Nathan and Rachel's betrayal had been a catalyst for change, pushing me to stand up for myself and pursue my dreams. And as I looked toward the future, I knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, I was ready to face them head-on. For I was Emily, a survivor, a dreamer, a writer reborn from the ashes of my past.